This video covers all the layouts that were on display at the Cupar Model Railway Show 2019. Fife cement, modelled in 00 gauge and presented by the East Neuk Model Railway Club. Fife cement depicts the post-BR steam pre-TOPS period 1968 to 1973, featuring BR diesels and industrial steam. The location is a fictional cement works on the west side of the Cults limestone outcrop in Fife, where we imagine the deposits are sufficient support for medium-sized cement works. It features the exchange sidings with British Rail, the workshops, the engine shed and cement loading silos. Incoming cement, coal and other wagons are brought in by BR locomotives. The works locomotives feature both Fife Cement's own steam locomotives and an occasional hired-in BR shunter. These move wagons around the works to where they are loaded and unloaded. The buildings are scratch-built, based on typical Fife structures, and feature fully detailed interiors. Altdorf Ost, modelled in HO gauge and presented by the Arnold Group. With the reopening of the short link cord west of Altdorf, followed by the reopening of Altdorf Ost Bahnhof as part of an enlarged S-Bahn network, the area has seen a large increase in rail traffic. DB regional trains now offer a variety of destinations and run side by side with through freight traffic. A local gravel quarry also provides some interesting movements due to the restricted track layout. Eden Road TMD, modelled in 00 gauge, was presented by Cupar and District Model Railway Club. Eden Road TMD is a representation of a traction maintenance depot set loosely between 2000s and present day, to allow a range of motive power to be used. The depot is operated by Direct Rail Services, DRS, to service their fleet of locomotives. Visiting traction from other UK operators such as GBRF, West Coast Railways, Freightliner, Colas and DB Cargo can also be seen, along with some stabled coaching stock. The layout contains a twin road locomotive shed, a smaller shed, refuelling point, a train wash and some storage sidings for basic maintenance. A fenced compound is used for the storage of FNA nuclear flask carriers between movements. Avyn-A-Llyin, modelled in 009 gauge and presented by Andy Bailey. The layout has Welsh origins, hence the name, although you will realise the name isn't Welsh if you say it the English way. The grounds of the ruined castle on the hill now belong to the local golf club, who have constructed a very scenic golf course. The pier is of timber construction with each upright individually screwed into place. Most of the buildings are scratch-built in linker and plasticard. 2 of the roofs are genuine hand-cut Welsh slate, and 3 roofs are thatched with plumber's hemp in pendant style. The sea is literally dozens of coats of non-drip varnish on a mixture of sand and ballast. The beach is real sand from our local sand quarry and is about 20mm deep. There are over 200 figures on the layout. The track is Pico Crazy Track with seep electrics and ballasted with a mixture of granite, limestone and sand. Most of the stock is kit built with a few scratch built items. Wallacetoun Junction, modelled in N gauge and presented by the Dundee Model Railway Club. The layout is loosely based on a station that used to be situated on the road between Newtile and Meagle by the Belmont Arms Hotel, called Alyth Junction. This was on the line that ran between Perth and Aberdeen, with other stations at Cupar Angus, Forfar, Glamis, Guthrie and Bridge of Dun, to name but a few. It was at Alyth Junction that the lines from Dundee via Newtile and the branch to Alyth via Meagle joined the main line. The Perth to Forfar section was originally opened in 1848, but it closed to passengers in 1967, though freight traffic continued until the line was finally closed in 1981. Leven Bank, modelled in N gauge and presented by Glenrothes Model Railway Club. Leven Bank, a fictional quadruple track location on the ScotRail region of the East Coast Main Line and set in the post-privatisation era of around 1995 to the present day. Two fast passenger lines are sandwiched by slower freight lines on the outside. The platforms of the Leven Bank station, with its station building located above the platform, is built as an island design extending out from the tunnel under the town. The station also features two bay platforms for terminating local trains. Heading away from the station and the tunnel, trains pass the freight loops, the small diesel multiple unit depot and the container terminal. At the far end of the layout from the station, trains pass the rail-served cement works, which generates considerable cement, gravel and aggregates traffic for the railway. Deerfoot, modelled in N gauge and presented by Scott Cunningham. Deerfoot is a fictitious location based on the landscape of Western Canada. It is at a point where Canadian Pacific and Canadian National tracks meet, and where agreement has been reached to allow eastbound traffic on the upper level to use CP tracks and westbound traffic the CN tracks on the lower level. This arrangement exists on the prototype through the Thompson and Fraser River valleys to give a better line capacity, and a visit to the area in 2008 provided the inspiration for this layout. The size was limited by the capacity of the family car. Cadhay Sidings, modelled in scale 4 gauge and presented by Chris Gough. Cadhay Sidings is set in East Devon during the summer of 1930 and is a model of the Sidmouth branch of the Southern Railway. It imagines that a couple of rural industries have sprung up on the banks of the River Otter at Cadhay, and a new set of sidings has been put in close to the Cadhay crossing gates. The crossing box has accordingly been upgraded and the signalling adjusted to facilitate the additional traffic using second-hand LSWR apparatus. Regular local passenger workings run along the single line between Sidmouth Junction on the main West of England line and the resorts of Sidmouth and Exmouth. The branch splits south of Cadhay. The layout was run as a fixed timetable, controlled by a clock set above the track. Signalling bells were used by the operators to control the flow of traffic. Rippon Cement, modelled in HO gauge and presented by Gordon Robertson, a member of the National Model Railroad Association, Scotland. Rippon Cement is an industry at the end of an ex-CNW industrial branch in southeastern Wisconsin. Now serviced by the short line Wisconsin Southern, who use a variety of second-hand locomotives to pull the short trains down to Rippon Cement. Other local businesses use the other spurs at Rippon Cement to transload, so a variety of cargoes are handled. All the locos and rolling stock are detailed and weathered, and at only 9 feet long the layout shows what is achievable in a small space. Rockfield Road, modelled in N gauge and presented by Inverness Model Railway Club. Rockfield Road is an N gauge layout that has undergone some extensive improvement since it was last out, having experienced problems with seep point motors. It was therefore decided to replace all of these along with adding some new ones to a section that wasn't previously operational. The engine service yard, situated to the rear of the layout, can now accept running stock. The point motors now used are new ones from Hatton's, along with frog juicers to improve operations. The layout is based on the Scottish main line with continuous run using DCC control by Gagemaster Wireless. Track is Pico with a mix of code 55 and 80, and stock is a mixture of Farish and Daypole based on prototypes seen on the West Coast main line today. Inverboyndie, modelled in 00 gauge and presented by Greenock Model Railway Club. Inverboyndie is an 00 scale end-to-end layout set in the Highlands of Scotland. The layout is based on the Banff track plan and features scratch-built buildings and a seascape with the Boyndie Burn crossing the layout. It also features a small harbour and a local distillery which supplies blend for Johnnie Walker whisky. Inverboyndie is based on the 50s and 60s era, with a beaching reprieve allowing blue diesels to run the service into the 70s. Because of the unusual track plan, passenger services were gravity shunted, a feature to look out for on the layout. Kinlochewe, modelled in 00 gauge and presented by Falkirk Model Railway Club. The layout is based upon the West Highland Line station and track layout of Mallaig in northwest Scotland, after British Rail's implementation of Radio Electronic Tokenless Block (RETB) signalling in the mid-1980s. The operating period is from 1986 to 1989, with BR Blue and LLB locos and blue-grey coaches. Freight comprises timber, oil and infrastructure traffic. The model is built to a scale of 1 to 76, using Pico code 7500 gauge track. DCC control is used for train operation, with a conventional switch panel to operate the points and the electromagnetic uncouplers. Barnsford Bridge, modelled in 00 gauge and presented by Renfrewshire Model Railway Club. Although Barnsford Bridge is a fictional layout located in the industrial suburbs of Glasgow, its features are based on the railway works of Palmadie, Eastfield, Motherwell and suburban stations in Glasgow such as Cross Hill and Belgrove. The layout splits over 3 levels, with the railway based on 2 of those. A small commuter station on the lower level, the main maintenance shed on the middle level, with a distribution and logistics centre on the upper level. The main part of the layout features a wash plant, fuelling area, a main repair shed, a traverser and a stabling point for locomotives, engineering trains, snowplows and MPVs. The Air BP oil terminal provides a source of traffic to break into the frequent light engine moves. Bathburn, modelled in 0 gauge and presented by the Pentland Model Railway Group. Bathburn has been constructed to see what was possible in a relatively small space in 0 gauge. The layout measures 10 feet by 2 feet and depicts a small suburban station somewhere in Britain. The time period of the model is flexible to allow us to use the variety of motive power we have available, so we can run from rail blue right up to just before privatisation. Passenger services are operated by a Class 121 bubble car. Additional traffic on the layout comes in the form of freight wagons to Thomson Transport's private siding. light locos and fuel deliveries to the same stabling point. The layout is controlled by a Digitrax DCC system, and the majority of the locos are sound fitted and are a mixture of Helljan Daypol and kit-built models. The bubble car is a Bachmann Brassworks, also fitted with sound and directional lighting. The rolling stock is a mixture of ready-to-run and kit-built vehicles. Burlington Central, modelled in N-gauge and presented by Perth and District Model Railway Group. Burlington Central is a fictional layout set somewhere in the US Midwest, based on the Burlington Northern Railway, along with two of its predecessors, the Chicago, Burlington and Quincy, the Burlington route, and the Great Northern, covering an area west from Chicago to Seattle, south to the Gulf Coast. The scenery on the layout is based on Colorado, Montana, Rocky Mountain areas, and it is assumed that this is where the layout is based. The layout is not based on any particular era and therefore allows us to run locomotives and freight cars from the mid-1950s to the early 1990s. At present, all locomotives are diesel, as by the mid-1950s most American Class 1 railroads had converted to diesel operation. Dundee Model Boat Club. Dundee Model Boat Club was formed in 1885 and has had an unbroken existence since that year. We sail at the Swanee Ponds on Pitcairn Road, where we have a clubhouse with seating for our members, as well as a work area allowing for maintenance of our boats. When the pond freezes in winter, the club is still open for discussion of various subjects. If you're interested in model railway exhibitions, check out the St Andrews Model Railway Show. Thanks for watching, catch you later.